Alrighty. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for coming to this month's first brown bag session, customer brown bag session. We are focusing today on logging, and I'll just do a quick round of introductions and kick this call off for us here. My name is Lisa Carnes, and I'm one of our CSMs here at Sumo. And if you haven't been at our brown bags before, we launched the series earlier this year. And we have them on the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th Tuesdays of every month. And they're really designed to give our customers an opportunity to spend time in a more intimate setting with some of our technical people here at Sumo. And we focus on key technical topics. So today's theme is logging, and our solutions engineer, Max, is going to be covering Sumo Logic dashboards. And if you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A, and we can go ahead and help answer those. And then we will also have open Q&A at the end. I do see someone raise their hand already. Doc, let me allow you to talk. Hi, Doc. Did you have a question? Could have been, sometimes I hit raise hand on accident too. Maybe it was a mistake. Okay, well, we will, if you have your question, go ahead and put it in the chat, Doc, and we will help you out. But Max, go ahead and share your screen, and then I'll kick things off with just the first little section.
All righty, let me get my screen shared here.
Great. And then actually, I think I need to enable everyone to talk to everyone. Attendees can chat with everyone. There we go. Okay, perfect. Right. So here's today's agenda. I will quickly cover the timeline of our classic dashboards being deprecated and our new dashboards, or our Gen 2 dashboards that we have available moving forward. And then we'll move on to Max. Will be covering our app catalog, and then he's actually going to show you all how to create a dashboard from scratch. There's a training environment that we have we're giving you guys access to if you want to follow along, or you can just sit back and watch as well. And then we'll go into a example Sumo dashboard that we use on our end, and then we'll wrap it up with Q&A. So go ahead, Max, next slide. So we've sent several communications out to our customers over the last probably a year or so when we started to do this process. And the communications have been around the classic dashboards being deprecated, and we've created our new dashboards that are now called Gen 2. And a quick way to know if you have a classic or a new dashboard is, I should have put a picture in here. Max can probably show you when he goes into the demo, but the classic dashboards, the little icon color is green, and the new dashboards, the little icon color is purple. So that will help you, at least at first, recognize whether or not you're working in a classic or a Gen 2 dashboard. But then there's also several enhancements and differences that we have as well in the Gen 2 that are different. So there's a lot of other enhancements, but these are just sort of the top reasons why we've created Gen 2 to make it better. We wanted to provide new different visualizations for you, such as the honeycomb chart. We wanted to give you full control over the look and feel with JSON. You can build panels directly in the dashboard. You can analyze both metrics and logs on the same dashboard, which is really cool. We couldn't do that before. And then you can visualize multiple queries in a single panel. It supports scheduled reports, and it has just a different, cleaner, modern user interface look entirely. So those are just some of the main differences. And as Max is showing you how to make dashboards today, we will of course be focusing on the Gen 2 ones, because As you can see in the timeline below, as of October 1st, we are no longer going to have the ability to create classic dashboards. And then as of January 8th, we will no longer be able to view classic dashboards. One last thing I'll say is all of you on this call should have an account manager and a customer success support representative or some access to someone at Sumo. If you guys need help with moving your dashboards over, or if you want to schedule a call with your personal account manager and your account team, please feel free to reach out and do that. If you don't know who that person is, you can send me an email and just let me know your company name and I can find that for you as well. I'll put my email in the chat here for you guys too. I think that's it on the classic deprecation. The next slide is just more details on the advantages of new dashboards, but I want to give more time to Max to go through and actually show you guys all the cool things he has prepared. So go ahead, Max.
Thank you, Lisa. Hey, everybody. Like Lisa mentioned, my name is Max Harendza. I'm a solutions engineer here at Sumo Logic. I've been here for about 2 years. And happy to show you all a little about how to create dashboards in Sumo Logic. So first place I usually like starting off is the app catalog. So just to set the stage here, say you're new to Sumo Logic, you've either installed a collector on one of our hosts, and you started sending data to Sumo Logic, either it be logs, metrics, traces, or you're using our new open telemetry collector or a hosted collector, anything of that such, but you now have data coming from Sumo and you want to get visualizations from that data. The first place I usually point people to is our app catalog. So our app catalog is essentially just a collection of content pre-built for you. So you have the ability to get out of the box dashboards and visualizations, searches and alerts from that data. So 9 times out of 10, we are already going to have content for a specific data source built out for you in the app catalog. If you don't see it in our app catalog, there's a good chance it lives in our public GitHub repo. So I urge you to check that out as well. It's just under Sumo Logic GitHub repo, and you'll be able to see our content page. But this is where I like to point people to first, right? Why reinvent the wheel when you already have something pre-built for you? And I'll walk you through how you can take specific panels from the app catalog in specific data sources, and then customize that to fit whatever you need. So I'll stop there. I know there's some questions in the chat. Lisa, are there any questions I should address right now before I move forward?
No, nothing around the app catalog.
Okay, yeah. Sounds good. I'll move forward. So again, let's say that you are bringing in Apache logs and you are viewing one of our out-of-the-box dashboards and you see a specific panel that you like from Apache that you'd want to replicate with a different data source. So say, for example, we want to identify top 10 URLs with 500 level errors and get a specific count for each. Say you like that specific panel and you want to then change that to say something. Let's say, for example, we don't have application load balancer app in our app catalog. We do, but let's say, for example, we don't. What I would do to start off is leverage some of the underlying queries in the app catalog to build out custom queries for yourself first. So before, again, reinventing the wheel, I would leverage any out-of-the-box content you have before building it out on your own. So what I recommend doing is opening up that log query interface or that log query in our log query interface and examining the different parts of the query. First, I would recommend changing the scope of the search. For this one specifically, it's focused on our Apache fields, but for ALB, you'd want to change that to that specific source category, that specific collector, that specific source for your scope of your search.
Max, just 1 second. I got a couple chats that the session is, they're not seeing your screen. Is that the case for more folks here? Are we having a technical difficulty on the screen share? Okay, Christian's seeing it, Lauren's seeing it. Okay, people are seeing it. Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for confirming. I think the person who can't see it, maybe if you log back out and try logging back in, there were two folks that said that. So if you want to go ahead and try that option and then go ahead and chat if it's still not working. Okay, perfect.
We're good to
Thank
go?
you. Yep. Go ahead,
All
Max.
right. All right, no worries. All right, so we're taking a look at one of our Apache queries, and we're going to try to change this to reflect a query for our application load balancer. So again, we're going to want to change the scope of the search over which data source you're searching. And then of course, you're going to want to change the parse statement. If the parse statement is something that you can use, in a different way, such as this regex statement, feel free to use that as well. But ideally, you're going to want to just leave the aggregates and then change the fields in those aggregates. So we're seeing the where statement, the count statement, and the sort statement. Obviously, we'll have to change the field names for those, but I'll show you what that looks like if we were going to do that for application load balancers. So now we can see that I adjusted the scope of the search for the application load balancer, created a new parse statement, which brings out all the different fields from the load balancer logs, and then pretty much kept the aggregates the same, except instead of status code, I changed it to target status code, and then instead of URL, I used a different field such as domain. And essentially, I created the same aggregate and dashboard panel as I took from my Apache out of the box example to now my application load balancer example. So just wanted to showcase this as a way to save time as you're building out custom dashboard panels, leverage the out of the box content, and then change it to fit your specific needs. In this example, yes, we do have application load balancer in the app catalog, but just wanted to use this as a example. And then once you have your aggregate view, you have the ability to then add that to this dashboard, which I'll show here in the live demo. I'll pause there. Any questions in the chat?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So next, I want to obviously offer you the ability to log into our training environment, and from there either follow along, or I'll be doing a live demonstration of how to build out some specific dashboard panels here as well. And this is just an opportunity to follow along if you'd like. If you don't, then you can just watch me do it. But essentially, you can go to sumologic.com and sign in with training plus analyst, and then any number here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at sumologic.com, and then here's the password. So I will pause there and let people log into the training account. I'll give everybody here a minute. All right, and while I'll let people do that, I'll move on a little bit further to explain a little bit about creating dashboards in Sumo Logic. One of the examples that we have here is clicking on the New tab and then selecting Dashboard from the drop-down list. And then it'll take you to our dashboard interface, where you'll have the ability to name the dashboard, add template variables, add panels, and create unique names. Do I need to go back? Is everybody in the chat good with the
So I think we need to clarify real quick, in the email that you guys can use, the training plus analyst and then the 3 hashtags, just put any random 3 numbers in the hashtags and then continue the @sumologic.com. So as an example, training plus analyst 572 @sumologic.com, and then that should work. And odds are all of you will not pick the same 3 numbers, I think. That's never happened before. But
we'd like to hope.
yes. Everyone is picking 1, 2, 3 for sure. Probably Christian. Don't pick 1, 2, 3.
Don't pick 1, 2, 3. I think I have, let me see what I have. Oh, I have this on my same screen. I think it might be 3, 5, 9. We'll see.
Okay, great.
All right. I'll move on to the next slide here. And we'll be going through a bunch of different panel types and how to custom configure these panels as well. So time series, categorical, single value, map, text, honeycomb, traces, and services as well. So I think my next slide is to explain our starting query. And Lisa, if you could drop that query either in the chat or send that out to all the participants so they can follow along. For anybody who is in the training environment, we'll all be working with the same query. It's all the same data, and you'll be able to follow along with what I'm about to show you here.
Yep, got it in there.
All right. So quickly just explaining this query. Right now, first you want to take a look at the scope metadata. So we are looking at the Apache access logs, and we are doing a keyword search. Next, we are parsing out the URL and status code field. And then we are filtering down to where status code matches any 500 level error. So that star signifies a wildcard. So it could be 500, 501, 504. Then we are counting by the status code, and I think I took the sort by count out, but these are aggregating those results into a specific count. So I think next is a live demo. Let's hope that I have everything back up. So I am now in our training environment. So I will pause there. Any questions in the chat, Lisa, or you think we're good to go?
Not yet, no questions.
All right. So this base query that you have here, we can actually create a dashboard panel off of this right away. So right now we are looking, make sure I update this. Right now we are looking at just a table view of the count of the status codes that we're seeing. So over the past 15 minutes, we are seeing a count of 16 500 level status codes and then 9 503s. We can also take this and add this to either a bar chart or column chart. This won't look very good here because we're not time slicing it, but we could also put this in a pie chart, which is what I might do to add to my dashboard. So say I like this distribution of the amount of 500 level status codes that we're seeing. I'm going to click this button and add this panel to my dashboard. So I'm going to just call this pie chart. And I'm going to add this to Max's dashboard. And what's going to happen is when you type in a custom value here, it's going to give you the ability to create a custom dashboard. So you're going to want to hit this button here. You can add this to whatever folder. I'm just going to add to my personal folder. And then we're going to hit add. And this is going to pop up the Max's dashboard with my dashboard panel right here. I can take this, I can drag and drop it anywhere on my screen. I can make this bigger, smaller. And then for anybody like me who enjoys dark mode, there's this little kebab up here that you can switch to dark theme. So I'll be in dark theme for the most of this this demo here. So now that we have our first dashboard up here, there's a couple different options we can go through. We can change the time frame that we're viewing this set of data. We can open this up in log search to investigate this further, which is going to take us to the same dashboard here that we can customize this. If you want to essentially take a copy of this, I would open up in log search. That way you can play around and comment things out and see how and play around with the query without messing up the actual dashboard. Oh, I don't know what happened to dark mode here. But say I want to actually edit that, I can go and edit this, and this is going to take me to the dashboard editor where I have the ability to change the query here or change some of the settings. So maybe instead of a pie chart, I might want to do a honeycomb of the count. And maybe I want to set visual settings where 0 to 10 count of status code is green. Actually, I want to maybe just do 15 just to get a green one. And then let's say 15 to 20 in my eyes is a warning. And then 20 and above is what we would deem as red. So now you can color code honeycombs as well. So you have the ability to change around any of these panels as well from your categorical. And then you can change the color palettes as well, do some additional UI adjustments here, change the size and change the slices, change the starting angle, really whatever you need. And all of these panels here are formulated off of a JSON message here. So if you really want to save these down in your own specific offline, or if you want to Terraform this, you can copy this to a clipboard and copy down the JSON and make actual changes here to the JSON that will reflect in the dashboard panel. I'll stop there. Any questions?
Well, people could not copy the code. So I'm BCCing everyone in an email right now with the code. I don't know if it's too late, but I'm just trying to get the code over to them.
Yeah, sometimes there's some issues with copying it over as plain text. I thought me getting it to you in Slack would work well.
Yeah, I think I just had to make sure I went to the right registration event. Yeah, I think this is everyone. Okay, sending now. You should see it in your email.
All right, hopefully the email works. I'll pause there for a moment.
We are just having a great time with all the technical difficulties today. Thanks everyone for being patient. This is what you get when it's an intimate setting with your technical sumo people. And if anyone grabbed it in the email and it worked, if you can let us know in the chat real fast, that would be awesome.
For anybody who's not struggling through any technical difficulties right now, thumbs up, thumbs down on what you've seen so far, things you already know, new things you've learned. Hopefully we're getting some thumbs up somewhere. This is my first time this is my first time being a host on one of these things.
I don't see any, but I think people are fine, hopefully. Okay, I think you could go ahead and continue.
All right, I'll go and continue. Hopefully everybody
we got
has
some thumbs up. Yay.
thumbs up. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you all. All right, so I'll continue a little bit. So now that we have this count, I'm going to do another aggregate here. I'm going to sum this count to get another dashboard visualization. So say I just really care about all 500 level status codes. I don't really care if it's by a specific, or 50 or 503 or 500. I just want a total count of the 500. So I'm summing the count of all the statuses. And now I want just a single value. I'm going to add this single value panel to Max's dashboard. And I'll show you a few other options there as well. If this would load. And Jim, I believe this is recorded.
And I'm actually going to paste they all live on our YouTube channel under our brown bag session. So I'm going to put that in here too.
All right, so I finally got this to load. I'm going to add this single value to this. I'm going to add this to Max's dashboard. For some reason, dark mode does not want to stay consistent. So now that I have this total count of my 500 level errors, I'm going to edit this a little bit further. Instead of it just having label, I'm going to say 24 5XX errors in Apache. And then maybe I want to add a gauge similar to, and have those values set to before. So now I want to set a gauge, and I want to say that acceptable is from 0 to 10. Warning might be 11 to 20. And then 20 and above is something that I want to have as red. So this is another way I can show those values as well when it goes past the specific threshold to catch the user's eye. So it's another way to essentially show the same data, but in two different ways. So I'll pause there if there's any questions in the chat.
Nope. Good so far.
Nope.
They're probably
Right.
all saving their questions for then, right, everyone?
Yep. And I'll go back to our original query that we have here. And I want to do, let's say we want to take these count of errors and expand this over a specific time frame. That way we can see if we see any spikes during a specific time. So I'm going to get rid of this sum statement. And I'm going to add a time slice statement, which time slice, all this is doing is bucketing the count of status codes into 1 minute buckets. You can do this for whatever bucket size you want. I'm just doing 1 minute bucket size over a total time of 60 minutes because this will be represented the best in a time series view. Next, I'm going to get rid of this line here. And I'm going to do a count status code by my time slice variable. We'll see what this gives me here. And now we have a lot better view in our line graph of the count of 500 level status codes over a specific time period. And then now you can look at each one of these 1 minute buckets, what our total count is. So now I'll add this to my dashboard. And I don't know what is going wrong with the training environment here. I'm going to do a hard refresh. 500 level status codes over time. Again, adding this to Max's dashboard. And now I can expand this to a little bit wider view, set this to a total of 60 minutes. And now you're getting that visualization of all of those status codes over a period of time. Furthermore, we can edit this. We can use a line or an area chart. If you don't like this rigid kind of structure here, you can do a dash or a dot. The other display type is a smooth or a stepped view or a stacked, which I don't know what's showing up here, and then a couple other views as well. So it really just depends on visualizations, what you like. Again, you can change the color palette of this as well, and really just do whatever you need and then update your dashboard to fit your visualization preferences.
Hey, Max.
Yep.
Can you explain the parse command in the query?
Yes. Let me go back to the query. So essentially what this parse command is saying is it is expecting in the log message, I can go here, it is expecting a get statement, and then the statement after this, which is that wildcard here, is it is expecting the URL, and then this string of HTTP, and then it's expecting the quotation mark, and then space, and then 500 is the status code. So each one of these stars in here represents the field that we're trying to extract. Hopefully that helped explain the parse statement.
It did.
Okay, awesome. And while we are focusing on dashboarding and logging, I would highly recommend taking some of our self-paced trainings because this will give you a lot more exposure in depth to parse statements, group and aggregate statements, and then anything else that's related to searching and dashboarding, which I think we'll get to here towards the end. All right, so now we have a pretty good looking dashboard so far. And I feel like we've covered some of the panels that we've created. You also have the ability to add a panel right up here in the top corner, and you can build out a query right here. However, I always like starting in the search and then adding it to my dashboard from the log query interface. But you have two different options as well. It's just sometimes a little bit easier to troubleshoot in the search panel than it is to work in the dashboard panel. All right, so let's add, maybe I think the next one that I saw was a map view. So at least I'm going to have you maybe send out this one as well. That's number 4 in that document I sent with you. And I'm going to add the lookup for the geolocation. I'm actually just going to add this in a new log search. And essentially what this is doing is this is taking the IP address from that from our Apache logs and is looking up the latitude, longitude, all these different field names, and it's going to be able to populate a map. So when we pull this up, we can see the actual latitude and longitude of the IP address. We also have the related country code, country name, region, city, area code. And then now we have the ability to visualize a map off of this. In this query here, if you're not able to see it in either the chat or the email that Lisa is about to send out, this is all posted in our docs. If you search any geolocation data in our docs. So this is able to be easily copied and pasted as well. But now we have a visualization of where all of our Apache logs are coming from. And we can drill down further into individual locations. And then from here, you have the ability, again, to dashboard on this. So let's say geolocation of Apache logs. I'm going to add this to my dashboard. I hope that brought that up here. So now you have a geolocation of all of your Apache logs. But now let's say you say, Max, I really, I'm more on the security side. I want to see if we're getting any requests from areas we might not expect. I want to only examine, say, Apache X logs coming from China, for example. We could go in here and edit this statement and add a where statement. So where country name matches China. Do a search on that. I spelled it here. And now we are looking at all logs coming from China. I might want to update this, add it to update the name of the chart, and then update this as my dashboard. And now we are only looking at all Apache logs coming from China. So you could still add where statements to these dashboard panels as well. I'll pause there, Lisa. Do we have any other questions in the chat?
Nope.
All right, awesome. I think I've covered a few of those, and I think the last ones that we have, text, pretty easy to work through. This is essentially a text box you can add. So let's do a little hello world. I think that's the title. And I'm trying to think of any other coding. Foo bar, right? Those are two coding features, and you can change the text color. And I can add that to my dashboard. Now I have a title of hello world and a body of foo bar. So now I can add instructions or more detail to my dashboards. It's essentially, you could use it as like a README of how to navigate a specific dashboard. And then let's see, the two other ones are for tracing and services. So if we wanted to take a look at all of our traces from our coffee bar app for any span, we could, do we not have any traces from our coffee bar? Let's see what the other one is, default. We could then add that to our dashboard as well. This is if you have your application instrumented and collection set up to send traces to Sumo. And then you have the ability as well to add a service map to your dashboard. Again, filtering down on any application environment or service name. You can either do a service map or service graph or a service table. Let's just say we want to do a service table. Again, we can add this to our dashboard as well. So I think that's covering most of the dashboard panels we wanted to cover. Any other questions, Lisa, before I jump back into the slide deck here?
Nope, no new ones yet.
All right. So we just covered the live demo. Now you want to be able to share this out. Actually, it might even just be easier to do this back in the environment. So now that you have your dashboard underneath your personal folder, this dashboard is only shared out with you. Say you want to share this with your entire organization, you want to share this with a specific role, or you want to share this with a specific user, you can do that as well. You can grant them specific access, view, edit, manage. you can then see who has access to this dashboard. Or if you want to include a shareable URL, you can do that as well, or create a public dashboard for people outside of your organization to view. You also have the ability to create a scheduled report of this dashboard to be either sent in PDF or PNG format with a specific frequency and emailed to a specific set of users, or just any emails, and then the subject and message as well. You also have the ability of exporting the entire dashboard as a JSON object. So you can copy this down. And if you want to mass edit dashboards, you can always drop this in your favorite text editor and edit specific fields in the JSON format. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and if you want to be able to share a search, you have the ability of sharing a search in a shareable URL or the code. The way the code works, if I copy that, add that, open this up in another search view, search on that code, it'll then take me directly to that query being used. So I think that covers sharing a dashboard. Is that what I wanted to cover here? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Any other questions there, Lisa, before I jump back?
Doesn't look like it.
All right. I don't want to do that. I want to do slideshow. All right. So I covered that. Next, I want to tell you a little about how I use Sumo here at Sumo, because yes, I'm not a customer of Sumo or prospective customer of Sumo, but we do use Sumo here a lot internally to give us a little more information on how our customers are using Sumo and what their expected usage is going to be. So a lot of times, when I'm working with some of my customers, they're saying, hey, for our next contract term, we are, we're growing as a company, our log volume is growing. How can you help us predict what our log volume is going to be at over the next 2 years of our contract? We don't want to overspend, we don't want to underspend. We want to get a really good estimate of what our volume is going to be at. So internally, we used, say, a dashboard like this to use a operator for our predict operator, which uses an autoregressive model to help predict log volume in specific customers' accounts, so we can accurately gauge their growth over a contract term. So that's a little bit how we use Sumo here at Sumo. Again, this dashboard might be a little more custom than you are using, but you can still use some of these aggregators and autoregressive models to build out custom dashboards for yourself as well. So we like to have our cake and eat it too here at Sumo, with learning a little about how our customers are leveraging our platform. So we're in Sumo every day, just like you all are. So I think that's all I had to share. Looks like we have some resources here. Lisa, maybe I'll hand it back to you and you can wrap this up if we need.
Sure, yes, let me actually grab those links and I'll put them in the chat as well. And for the rest of the time, we have 15 minutes left. Feel free, I can take you off of mute if you want to ask a question, or you can chat the question. Max can go back into the training environment and he can re-show something if you all feel that you need a run through on something in more detail. So I'll pause for a minute or two. It always feels like a minute or two is really awkward. So I still need to give you all time to maybe ask your question or raise your hand. So if any of you have questions, please let us know. In the meantime, I'll grab those links for you all.
Can you explain a little bit more about application traces? Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about how Sumo approaches application traces is we use OpenTelemetry to enshrin your app, which essentially is adding a package to your code base, which will generate those traces. We use OpenTelemetry collection to send that data to Sumo. And then once that data reaches Sumo, we have various different visualizations for your telemetry data that's sent to Sumo. And we also generate metrics off of those traces, such as error rate, latency, request rate, and we can derive specific anomalies from that as well. And then let's see, we need an additional OpenTelemetry agent on top of the Sumo agent for traces to work. If you are using our proprietary Sumo Logic installed collector, yes, you will. You can actually use OpenTelemetry for logs, metrics, traces all in one collector. And that's kind of where our company is moving, as well as the industry is moving towards OpenTelemetry collection. So yes. Awesome. Hopefully I answered both those questions. Give everybody here a couple more minutes. And then if not, give everybody some time back too in their day.
Okay, Zoom's not letting me copy all those links in a pretty way. So I will send a thank you email out to everyone and I will include the links there.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Okay, last call for questions. Otherwise, we'll give you guys back 10 minutes.
Appreciate you listening to me ramble on.
And going through all of our little things we're figuring out. You are all awesome. Okay, great. I think we can call it then, Max. I'll go ahead and stop the recording.